Intel's board, a decade of incompetence and strategic missteps. For over a decade, Intel's board has been the silent architect of its own decline. Decisions characterized by short-sightedness, poor leadership choices, and an inability to adapt to industry shifts have culminated in a series of catastrophic failures. The dismissal of Pat Gelsinger, arguably one of the most qualified leaders Intel could have hoped for, epitomizes this ongoing incompetence. With a board largely devoid of semiconductor expertise, Intel's strategic missteps threaten not only its market position but its very survival. The dismissal of CEO Pat Gelsinger marks a critical juncture. Gelsinger, despite his flaws, was steering Intel back toward technical and cultural revitalization. However, the board's decision to replace him with co-CEOs, a CFO and a career sales and marketing leader, highlights their fundamental misunderstanding of what Intel needs. Of the 11 board members, 7 have no relevant semiconductor experience. 2 others, while accomplished academics, lack industry expertise. The only truly qualified member, Stacy J. Smith, joined only recently, replacing Lip-Bu Tan. The board's track record is abysmal. During the 2010s, Intel's leadership stumbled repeatedly, culminating in a disastrous decade for the company. While Gelsinger's tenure began addressing deep-seated issues, the board's impatience has derailed this progress. Intel's decline can be traced back to the 10-nanometer node debacle. In 2016, Intel aimed to introduce its 10-nanometer process alongside TSMC. While TSMC delivered on schedule, Intel's overly ambitious goals, quadruple patterning, novel cobalt interconnects, and contact over active gates, led to disastrous yields. By the time Intel's 10-nanometer products hit the market, TSMC had shipped over 500,000 N7 wafers and was already sampling its N5 node. The fallout was severe. Intel's competitors, particularly AMD, capitalized on TSMC's fabrication capabilities and superior chip architectures. Intel's data center market share eroded, and the company's stagnation became increasingly apparent. Intel's cultural decline began under CEO Paul Otellini, who prioritized anti-competitive business tactics over technological innovation. Otellini's tenure marked the end of Intel's culture of constructive confrontation, where data-driven decision-making and accountability thrived. Instead, internal power struggles and political maneuvering became the norm. This cultural rot continued under Krzanich, whose leadership saw the 10-nanometer disaster unfold. Despite his failures, Krzanich remained in power until an illicit workplace relationship forced his resignation. His successor, Bob Swan, prioritized financial engineering over technical investment, diverting $36 billion to stock buybacks, nearly matching the $38 billion spent on capital expenditures during his tenure. This strategy gutted Intel's technical talent and further entrenched its decline. Intel's x86 architecture, once its crown jewel, is now under siege. The smartphone revolution shifted the computing paradigm, favoring ARM-based processors for their power efficiency and adaptability. Apple's transition from Intel to its ARM-based M-series chips exemplifies this shift, delivering substantial performance and efficiency gains. ARM's growing ecosystem, bolstered by players like Qualcomm, Nvidia, and MediaTek, threatens Intel's dominance. Even Microsoft, a longtime Intel ally, has embraced ARM with Windows for ARM and partnerships with Qualcomm. While x86 remains relevant, its moat is eroding rapidly, and Intel's lack of a competitive response is glaring. Intel's foundry division represents its best chance for survival. As the West's only hope for advanced semiconductor manufacturing, Intel Foundry Services, IFS, holds strategic value for national security. However, IFS faces significant challenges, including the need for $36.5 billion in wafer fab equipment over the next 3 years, on top of $15 to $20 billion in additional expenses. The CHIPS Act provides some support, but Intel's cash flow is insufficient to sustain these investments. IFS's potential lies in its ability to serve as a second source to TSMC, reducing reliance on Taiwan for cutting-edge chips. However, its success hinges on developing competitive process technologies and making design transitions from TSMC cost-effective for customers. The current board's focus on Intel's product group over its foundry division threatens this critical endeavor. Intel's future depends on bold strategic changes. The company must prioritize its foundry division, divesting non-core product groups to fund critical investments. Government support, both financial and strategic, is essential to ensure IFS's viability. Leadership must also change. The board's composition needs a complete overhaul with a focus on industry expertise and long-term vision. Without this, Intel risks losing its remaining relevance in an industry it once defined. Intel's decline is a cautionary tale of complacency and poor leadership. Yet its story is not over. With the right leadership and strategic focus, Intel can reclaim its place as a technological leader. The stakes are monumental, not just for Intel, but for the global semiconductor industry and national security. The time for action is now.